Welcome back to Down the Track, and we have our four confirmed semi-finals and finalists in the T20 World Cup: Australia, Pakistan, England, and New Zealand. Today, 1 billion hopes were dashed as New Zealand beat Afghanistan comfortably. I was hoping that Afghanistan would win and give New Zealand a fight, but they tried their best. At the end of the day, India has to blame themselves the way they played the first two games. You can't really blame Afghanistan. There's always hope, right? I have with me Punter. How are you doing, man?
Good, buddy. Good. How are you doing after the loss of
Yeah.
Afghanistan?
It hurts a bit, to be honest. As an Indian fan, it always hurts. But these days, I get over it much more quicker. But sports has not been my thing for the last few months. Whether it's basketball, cricket, football, nothing is working for me. So I'm getting used to pain. And but
Yeah, that
honestly, like for the first time, I'm not seeing this. I normally will be really upset with this and that, but I'm really happy for New Zealand because this is a type of team that. Always goes under the radar, but they always make the semifinals. It doesn't matter. They had key players missing. Ferguson wasn't there. He was, and then they had an inexperienced middle order apart from Kane Williamson. Inexperienced in the sense that, Conway hasn't played in these conditions. Martin Guptill's struggled in these conditions, but, Williamson knows what to do and I'm really happy for New Zealand. That way, for India, of course, really upset, but you can't really blame Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a sort of
absolutely,
team that they are underdogs and they can give you a tough fight on their day, but today, again, it was just not their day.
absolutely. Also, wanted to ask you something regarding today's game. Do you think Nabi winning the toss and batting first throughout the season made sense? Or today, I feel yes because they were playing in the day. But what about throughout the season?
It made sense because there was one time where he won the toss and he bowled first against India. It didn't work out at all. That was the worst performance when they bowled first. When they
Yeah,
batted, they had some runs on the board. Today, they had no runs on the board. If they had 140, 150, New Zealand would have been a bit stuck because if you saw at the halfway stage, New Zealand was 60 for 2. Economy run rate of 6, so 150, 160 would have been difficult to chase. I think that's the way Afghanistan played. They played to their strengths against Pakistan. Very unlucky in the sense that Asif Ali his 4 sixes and 1 over. That rarely happens, right?
yeah,
Again, that game could have gone close. So I think sticking to your strengths is good. Of course, you have to take conditions into account. They did that in Abu Dhabi, but also that didn't work for them. So I didn't really have a big issue. But today I felt where they lost the game was New Zealand. The fielding, outstanding, man. Catching on the boundary, captaincy as well. Bowling changes when Santner was getting hit. Williamson changed it up, and Bolt was fantastic at the power play. Of course, I think that broke the back. But then to put the nail in the coffin, not letting Afghanistan go past 150 was the catching and the fielding, man. New Zealand, Martin Guptill, that throw against
yeah.
India, and then today as well on the boundary, they were fantastic.
Fantastic fielding. And what about Nisham? Nisham turning out to be a great bowling all rounder for them. He's giving below 6 runs per over, coming in
Yeah.
place for Santner, filling his shoes because Santner was getting hit, and then he bowling the full quota of 4 overs. So something,
Yeah, first you have to credit captaincy for that. First, you have to
yeah,
give Williamson the credit for that. But
100%.
then, if you look at Nisham, these kind of pitches are suiting him. Varying the pace, kind of medium pace, a few slower deliveries, cutters. He's mixing it up really well, and the ball is gripping. His ball is really gripping on the pitch.
Absolutely.
Like you said, he picked up a wicket, economy of 6. Yeah, fantastic. It gives New Zealand another option now in that semi-final. Because I was looking at their bowling, I'm like, man, without Ferguson, it's difficult. But Adam Milne stepped up, Nisham has stepped up,
Yep.
and their spinners have always been good. Yes, Hannah had a bad day today, but also the left-handed angle of Zazai that helped. But not Zazai, sorry, it was Najibullah, the
Najibullah, yeah.
Najibullah Zadran. Yeah, his left-handed angle helped hit center. But apart from that, the spinners have done well this tournament. Sodhi in particular has been fantastic. So
So
I
yeah,
think
picking up a
they have
wicket every
options.
first over is something to watch for
Yeah,
in semis as well.
yeah, and they have two spinners. They have two amazing new ball experienced bowlers. And now, if Milne and Nisham can make up that fifth option, then it's brilliant going into that semis. This guy is an unbelievable captain. I'm not just saying it because they're winning. Even when they're losing, even against Pakistan, he took that game till the end. There was a fight there from New Zealand against
Absolutely.
Pakistan, so he knows exactly. I don't know how to explain it. It's just when it comes to bowling changes or field placements, of course, calmness is part of it. That's his nature. But apart from that, he's very smart. I think he might be calm, but his thinking is very aggressive. He's very aggressive. He likes to attack from ball one, and he wants his bowlers to pick up wickets. He had a slip in position for most of the power play. in the beginning. So yeah, I think it was brilliant from Williamson. And
question for you, Morgan or Williamson?
that's a very tough one. I think Morgan, he transformed all of cricket, like English cricket. He's brought a different brand of cricket, and he has the personnel. Whereas Williamson is someone that he takes players, whatever team he has, he'll take them. They play a different. We don't even know what kind of brand of cricket they play, but they always make semi-finals. And I think they're two different captains. It's difficult right now for them. Morgan has won a World Cup. If Williamson wins now, then they're going to be... And Williamson's won a Test championship as well, right? Yep. So whoever wins this will be the better captain if Babar Azam doesn't win it or Aaron Finch. But apart from that, I think it will... whoever wins this will probably be the better captain because they're both excellent captains but completely different.
Sounds good.
But yeah, like if you just look at their batting also, New Zealand, Mitchell and Guptill giving a decent start. They're looking in decent touch. I think the way Mitchell hit those boundaries kind of...
Yeah, what a player Mitchell is turning out for New Zealand.
Well, he's turning... I'm like, why are they playing this guy? But he's proving to be pretty decent. Yeah. And the biggest takeaway is Conway, because he struggled, man, in these conditions. Even now, strike rate was a bit slow, but the fact that he finished off the game against Rashid Khan and these guys, he hit Rashid Khan for boundaries, he hit Nabi as well. Aggressive, he's pulling, he's cutting, and footwork looks much better. I think he's understanding the conditions better. We saw New Zealand, Zabardast, he played amazing, but here it's a bit different, right? So slowly he's getting into rhythm. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, from an India perspective, what does this mean?
See, obviously the first two games, the way the body language was, they look very tired after the IPL. Forget IPL, the long 6 months away from home, being in the bubble. Obviously, they were mentally and physically drained out. But obviously, you can't say that while coming in before a World Cup. A World Cup is something which is being prepared for past 2 years, 3 years. They have a planning going on. They're selecting players, and in the end, I feel there was a bit of issue with the selections as well. They could have gone with Chahal. They could have gone with a better pacer instead of Bhuvi, or maybe even for Shami, because they were not performing well in the second phase of the IPL. So you could have gone with the risk. But obviously, saying and judging the decisions, if it would have gone in their favor, then everyone would be positive. If it didn't go, so everyone's talking negative about it. So it happens in cricket. But yes, definitely the body language was not correct for the T20 World Cup. It didn't look like they were playing for the World Cup. It looked like they were continuing as practice games from the first two practice games. They came in and they were playing just like a practice game. So definitely, yes, lot to learn from this World Cup. Rahul Dravid coming in as the new coach for Indian cricket team, that's something which is definitely to watch for. I'm sure he'll be more organized. He will make sure that each and every player is utilized to its potential, but being rested at the same time as well. I feel Dravid would definitely bring that major changes in the Indian team.
Yeah, I agree. For me also, it's very simple. You skip the IPL if you and you play the World Cup. Especially, I'm talking about the second leg. In general, you can play the IPL. There's no problem in that. Yep. But if it's just before, you say that I need rest for the World Cup, and you rest. It's simple as that. Or you just pick a young team. So and you take a different approach to T20 cricket, because we saw India, the only time they've won the trophy is when they went with a team with no expectations.
Absolutely.
That's when Tendulkar, Dravid, and these guys sat down. So maybe Kohli, Rohit, and these guys sat down. But I honestly felt this was the right team. Of course, now, if you ask me, yes, Bhuvneshwar Kumar was poor. Shami was poor in a few games with the bat. A lot of them were poor. No one was really informed, if you ask me. But if you look at the paper, I still think it's a very strong team. You put this team out again tomorrow, and they can beat the same opposition that they lost to. They can beat Pakistan. They can beat Australia, England with the same team. But it's just the timing was wrong. Whether that's to do with fatigue or just planning, or even getting, losing the toss. It could be everything. I'm not giving excuses. I'm not giving excuses, but it's just bad timing of everything. If you give me this team on paper, I would say semifinals 9 out of 10 times on paper. If you compare the other teams, I think India on paper have a better squad than most teams. The only teams who, for me, like in these conditions, who can challenge them is England, Pakistan in that thing. Even Pakistan, they're one injury away. Like, if Shaheen Afridi gets an injury, thing. In India, if Bhuvi gets an injury, they can get Thakur, they can get Deepak Chahar. They have a stack of players who are ready-made. So India in terms of squad is, for me, one of the best. But maybe the approach to T20 cricket, you have to blood in youngsters. Maybe you have to play more like, you can't play like England. It's very difficult to replicate that. But maybe be more aggressive, have a different mindset. We saw Rohit Sharma and Rahul do it, but it's a bit too late. But they did it against the last game against Scotland. They attacked from ball one. So maybe you do that, you lose your wicket. It's a bit... I think just bad timing from India's side of things. And of course, now they'll have to recuperate, and that now freaking Paytm trophies and stuff we have to watch. But I just feel that now in the future, this is a good lesson. They didn't reach the semifinals. This has happened before in 2009 in the T20 and 2010 also, and even in 2012 they didn't reach the semis. So I think it's not the first time this has happened. But one thing is, since the IPL started, India has never won a T20 World Cup, so that's something they might have to ponder upon.
True,
sure.
Yeah, they lost in the finals, they lost in the semis. But this is the first time they've not qualified even for the semis. So that's something to look for. And
first time since?
First time since 2007. This is the first time since 2007 they've not been qualified for a semi.
No, they didn't qualify in 2009. They didn't qualify in 2010. They didn't qualify in 2012 also for the semifinals.
For the T20?
T20. Yeah, they didn't qualify for the semifinals. This is not the first time, but 2009 when it was in England, Pakistan won that. India wasn't in the semis. 2010 was in West Indies. Again, India lost in that. They didn't reach the semifinals. They lost a few games. They only beat South Africa when right over 100. And then they knocked out. That time I remember they had to get South Africa all out under some certain overs, and it didn't work out. So it's been, the only time they made it was 2016, 2014, and 2007. So since the IPL, that's something they have to consider. They'll have to maybe change their approach, something, also split teams, maybe, because you're talking about rest and everything, because they've been in England, they've been in IPL, Dubai now, still in Dubai. I've been in Dubai for like 2 weeks now, and I'm feeling it. It gets tiring, man. And they're doing it for 1 year. Like, it's not easy, like, hotel to hotel, bubble to bubble. It's not simple, but then you have to do something in your structure. Then the BCCI becomes accountable. Saurav Ganguly, Jay Shah, they become accountable. They will have to make decisions. The Kohli is going to step down. So now the next captain and everything, they'll have to decide that.
Coming to that, who you think is going to be the next captain of the T20? World Cup is around the corner. It's next year.
I think it'll be Rohit Sharma, but for the future, I would probably go with maybe like a KL Rahul or Rishabh Pant. Just give a youngster a chance. Rahul maybe a bit more.
Do you think it makes sense to make Rohit Sharma now the captain? Why don't they go for the future straight away and make KL Rahul or Rishabh Pant the captain?
That's a good question, but if it's next year, Rohit Sharma will probably be in similar type of form. With Rohit Sharma, he's a class batsman. I think he can still play 1 or 2 years, and if you're really banking on leadership, he's someone who can give you that, right? He can lead you to a trophy. In these conditions, he won you the Asia Cup. So I don't know. It's going to be in Australia, I think, the next World Cup, the T20. But just I think 1 year, it's not like he's going to change too much, and his captaincy will help in that. And he's captained Mumbai to 5 trophies. I think he deserves one shot before he retires. But yeah, if you want to look, if you're changing the 50-over captaincy as well, and you want someone for both tournaments, then you pick a youngster. But then what happens? It's a difficult one. What happens there is you make a point, because what happens there is if you lose the T20 World Cup with a youngster, then you're going to sack that youngster, and you're going to get another youngster in for the 50-over World Cup. It's a bit difficult, man. I don't know how they're going to look at it. Maybe just make KL Rahul. He's a slightly more mature. Maybe make him T20 and 50-over World Cup captaincy. I'm saying for T20s, just put a completely different team. Just put a young team, and for the 50-over World Cup, play your more experienced. That's what I would. Because India's approach in 50 overs is very, very good. Like, India is a solid 50-over team if you look at it, right? Because they understand, you can't just go hammer and tongs. They have Hardik Pandya, and that conservative approach, Rohit Sharma, Rahul, they like to take their time. And once they take the time, once they're settled, they can smash it every ball. I saw them against, I know it was just Scotland, but it was fantastic shots. But for them, they want to be a bit, get the feel of things. They won't go from exactly ball one. They'll take one
Yeah.
or two deliveries. So that's something I think 50 overs will be helpful, but T20 maybe just put like a Ishan Kishan there and just strike from ball one.
Mustafa, I
But
also wanted to ask you now. We've
yeah,
always been talking about this before as well. Missing a part-time bowler. We don't even see in
yeah,
an IPL any team, any Indian player who is a part-time bowler as well, who can bat
yeah.
really well or do the finishing role. Or maybe even, like a Suresh Raina in the middle order or a Yuvraj Singh in the middle order. So what should India look in the future? Like, for example, players picked up in IPL as well. They're not being able to bowl and bat together. Virat Kohli, we saw he bowled in the practice game but did not use himself in the games. Rohit Sharma said that he was available to bowl but didn't bowl at all. So, do you think Virat also had this issue in this T20 World Cup of not having that part-time bowler? Hardik Pandya came into bowl after a very long time when the game was almost over for us and we were dependent on Afghanistan. So, do you think that really does matter for the future of the T20?
100%. I asked this exact same question to Bharat Sundaresan. He's a Cricket Buzz journalist. He's a correspondent. I asked him on Twitter. I was hosting a space, so asked him this exact question about India not having a part-time spinner. You look at England, there's Livingston. You look at Australia, there's Maxwell. Pakistan, Shoaib Malik, Hafiz.
Hafiz,
You look
yeah.
at even South Africa, they have Markram, and South Africa
Yeah,
done really well, mind you. So there's options everywhere. In India, they're not using those options. So I asked him, why doesn't Rohit Sharma roll his arm over? Why doesn't? And he was also like, wondering why this is the case. He was like, and he's like, even Shreyas Iyer can bowl, Virat Kohli can bowl. These guys, they need to go into the nets. They need to roll their arm over. He was talking about an injury as well. I think Rohit Sharma had some shoulder problem, which doesn't allow him to bowl long overs in general. It's not like a it's been a problem over the few years. So sometimes it's difficult for him, to bowl and then stop bowling and then come back to bowl. Something he was mentioning about an injury there, which is a long-term injury. It's not a short-term. But apart from that, these guys need to roll their arm over. It's simple as that. Whoever comes in as a batsman, they will have to practice bowling. It's
yeah,
because it gives you that option. Even in 50 overs, right? If someone's getting smashed, you give someone a few overs. In T20 in particular, you have to have that option. Ek over bhi dal diye, like in the power play or something like that, it makes a lot of difference. Markram, he bowled one or two
100%.
overs, and it gives South Africa that boost. New Zealand today, they had Nisham, right? Like you said, Santana was getting smashed. If they didn't have Nisham, that score would be 150, 160 game on. So
Yeah,
I completely agree. I had the same question in mind. I've asked a few people around me, some journalists who are, who've been covering the game for so many years, and they're also saying the same thing, that yes, they need options like that. There are options, but they'll have to practice. They'll have to bowl in the nets, and the youngsters coming up will have to roll their arm over. I don't know whether maybe it's also the amount of cricket they play, so many injuries and stuff. Maybe they refrain from bowling as well, because bowling, then you have to put more effort. You see, like Hardik Pandya, he's
yeah,
supposed to be an all-rounder. He's not even batting or bowling because of that
yeah,
injury, and that's because of plenty of games, so many games. You see, Michael Holding, he said in the past, why fast bowling is not as good as before. It's not that, like, the skill is there, the talent is there, but you need rest. He said we used to rest between 2-3 weeks between test matches.
yeah.
So it's a part of it, and it's probably the schedule. Maybe that's why they don't want to get injured, and that's why the batsmen refrain from bowling. But that's something I completely agree with you, and that's a question I had as well. But coming to the semi-finals, we will discuss India, I think, because they're going to be playing Namibia, so we have tomorrow, and of course India is always going to be a hot topic. But the
Yeah.
semi-finals, now there's 4 teams. The first game is England versus New Zealand. Rematch of 2019 World Cup,
Yep.
and the second game is between Pakistan and Australia in Dubai. So first of all, my Pakistani friends, now don't worry about match fixing or anything. Your team is playing good. Enjoy your cricket. Don't worry about India. It's a separate thing if they win or lose. If you play in the final, it's different, but you should be proud of your team. They're playing really good. I was there at the game. I don't know if you saw that toss thing which went viral about Nabi and stuff. I was there. Nabi told Kohli that we will bowl first. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories. So I'm just telling them, put that to bed now. Enjoy your cricket. Your team is playing well. But your first thought on the England-New Zealand match in Abu Dhabi on
See, I
Wednesday.
have a feeling England losing to South Africa and losing Jason Roy would make a bit effect for the England side. they might go with Johnny Besto as an opener.
My boy.
Johnny is not been performing that well in the middle order, but we know how well he bats as a opening
Do we
batsman.
know Jason Roy's update? Like how many days?
He's got a calf injury and he's out for the season.
Oh, that's
So
harsh,
that's
man.
unlucky on him, and I hope he gets well soon. But yes, so yes, Johnny Besto coming in, maybe opening instead of Jason Roy, maybe a Sam Billings coming in place of Johnny Besto in the middle order. So
Hmm.
big loss, I feel. But yes, Besso is someone who can open well. We've always seen him in SRH, and he and Butler can play exactly the same kind of shots, match the shots um, ball to ball. And so I feel there is a bit of concern for England. And
Hmm.
whereas New Zealand beating a good team like Afghanistan, coming more positive in. Um, I think they're playing in Abu Dhabi as well.
Abu Dhabi, yes.
Yeah. So and today's game was in Abu Dhabi, so they have that slight advantage. So I feel I would keep New Zealand say 60% and England for actually not 60, 55, 45. So that's what
Yeah,
I'm looking for. And yes, as you said, 2019 revenge time. New Zealand
yeah,
should get that revenge. I support
yeah.
New Zealand to get that revenge after some bad decisions by the umpire made during that World Cup. So
And
hopefully,
this,
yes, Kane Williamson pulls up, but definitely a concern on their batting against spinners. We saw Adil Rashid, Moeen Ali, even Livingston bowling extremely well in the middle overs. So that concern to play spin. Kane did play well today. Conway, you said, is still struggling to get that net run rate higher, the strike rate higher. So hopefully. That's the key thing which will be important in both sides of the game. The middle
yeah,
overs. Middle overs,
yeah.
whoever plays the middle overs the best will get the match.
Yeah, I mean, we saw England against South Africa. They lost that game, but then Livingston slowly came into form. So that's an excellent sign. Morgan also
Yeah.
hit a few. This is going to be a different ground. I think this pitch will suit them a bit more, but the ground will be a bit bigger to clear. Jason Roy, massive, massive loss. I feel I agree with you. Him and Butler have been striking a really good partnership. If one goes, the other stands. It's been a
Yeah.
brilliant partnership. He'll be a big loss, and this is the third big loss after Archer and Stokes. So, credit to England for reaching this far and playing such good cricket. It's going to be a test, I think, against New Zealand. For me, it's the top order versus Bolt and Sadi. If Butler and Bairstow get going and smash them a bit, put that New Zealand opening bowlers under pressure, England
Yeah.
will be on top. If you let Bolt and Saudi get to that breakthrough, then Sodi will come and do his leg spin and get those over through. Sandner will come and keep it tight. Nisham will bowl his cutters.
Both
So
cutters, yeah.
so if you attack the two most experienced bowlers, then it puts them under pressure. Then Milne is also a bit confused. What should I do? Sodi as well, and these guys play spin as well as well. So if Bairstow and Butler are set, they can take the game away. So I think England will be banking on that, whereas New Zealand, I think, try to blow that top order win, put the likes of Morgan, Livingston under pressure. Even though they did get some runs in the last game, they haven't been scoring like that top order. And
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
and the
For
next
me,
game,
that'll be a key battle between Butler and Bolt. That would
yeah,
be really fun to watch. Whoever wins that battle would definitely put a big impact on that game. If Bolt wins it, then definitely England would be under the pressure. And if Butler goes, you know how he goes. You saw him live.
yeah.
The way he batted, that was something insane.
And his wrist work is unbelievable. Like it's so fast
Unbelievable.
when he like
Seriously.
just flicks it like that is brilliant to watch. And he's someone you just sit there at the ground. You don't understand how he's doing it, but it's a pleasure. And it comes off the middle of his back. You can hear it talk. Like it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Charles Butler. Yeah, I think for me, he's the player to watch out for from England side of things, and New Zealand probably Kane Williamson. But I would just ask you about the second game, Pakistan versus Australia. Now Pakistan fans can finally focus on the semi-finals. They can focus on the cricket. Coming up against Australia team who suddenly found some form. They spanked the West Indies and Bangladesh good margins, and David Warner is back in form.
Back
Big,
in
big,
form.
big boost for Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Big boost for Australia. Warner being back in form. But definitely, I feel there would be a big upper hand by Shaheen. over Warner, since
Okay.
he's a left arm bowler. I think that would be a good battle to watch for. But we always count out Finch, and we always see him perform in big games like these. He just comes from nowhere, and then we're like, oh damn, this is Aaron Finch. I was just checking the ICC rankings the other day, and Finch is at number 4 in top batsman of T20, above Virat Kohli. So I was like, I don't even remember when Finch played a better innings than Virat. And yes, definitely Finch. We can't just count him out. Warner, yes, Warner is back in form. Big boost for Australia.
I think Finch
But
is in better
definitely,
form than Warner. He smashed in a couple of games. I think it was against Bangladesh where he
yeah,
got
he made
40
a
of
40
19.
in between, then a
Yeah, he's
35.
been smashing it. He looks in better touch, but for me, Warner just looked completely out of touch
Out
until
of
now.
focus.
And now,
Yes.
and that innings against West Indies, the way he was piercing the gap, picking it through mid wicket, it was like vintage Warner. I didn't see that for the last 2-3 months in
Yep.
particular. So I think his
Definitely
shot
missing
selection has been
SRH.
better. Yeah, SRH, even in Australia, he was scoring a few runs here and there, but he looked rusty. He just wasn't middling the ball. But this was proper Warner in terms of footwork. With Finch, I feel that form is around the corner. He's someone who'll smash it the next day. He might get out early, but he'll come back and score another quick fire 50. So I don't think he's in bad form as such, but he's someone, yeah, who can definitely take the game away. But yeah, that Shine versus Warner, you're saying that's a brilliant matchup. Do you think Australia, the way they're going to look at this Pakistani bowling lineup, attack the spinners maybe? Imad Wasim and Shadda put them under pressure?
I feel Warner Imad will open. Warner will definitely try and go for it. I think Finch also might attack Shadab if
Hmm.
he survives the power play, and then Shadab comes in after power play. We always know Shadab usually doesn't bowl in the power play. So I feel Warner is the key person to go for Imad Wasim. He
That
might
angle will
just,
help. Yeah.
yeah, that
Because if you look at it, sorry to cut you there, but if you just look at the way Pakistan play, right, Shaheen Afridi is like almost unplayable in the power play, especially in this tournament, he's swinging the ball and everything. And Imad Wasim keeps it tight. Now, when the
100%.
other bowlers come in, then Shadab quickly goes through his overs. Haris Rauf goes through his over. Hassan Ali as well. But Hassan Ali has a tendency, and Haris Rauf as well, to be expensive in the death. So if you do go after Imad Wasim without losing a wicket, the problem is he's taking wickets now as well. So people going after him are failing. So you have to be a bit smart the way you go after him. But if you do go after him, put him under pressure, force Babar Azam to make a change in the power play, then it
Yep,
can rattle the bowling a bit. Otherwise, if you're going to let them bowl to you, think they're going to stifle you. And we've seen what they've done with the bat as well. So I think
absolutely.
that's the area where they might have to target.
100%, 100%. We've seen Hassan Ali not bowling to his potential in the
Yeah.
series. He is taking 1 or 2 wickets in between, but yes, definitely he's being hit for many runs, plenty during this tournament. So he has to step up if Imad Wasim is not is getting hit in the power play, because Babar has to go to him, or maybe Haris Rauf. So hopefully it'll be a good startup. But for me, Pakistan is currently in their topmost form, and it'll be very difficult for Australia to beat them, especially when the middle order has also started performing. Today we saw Shoaib Malik, he was whacking sixes at will. Hasib also coming back in form. Professor is back in form, and even Babar is the way he is playing currently. It's very, very, very difficult to get him out early.
Yeah, man. What did I tell you about Shoaib Malik, man? 50 of 18 balls today. He's 39
Whoa.
years old.
Yeah,
Third,
he's like Undertaker, dead man alive. I like,
you,
where the hell did he hit that knock from? 50 of 18, you don't expect that, or you don't relate that to Shoaib Malik at this age. And still,
yeah.
the way he's playing, he's hitting the ball out of the park was something crazy to watch.
For me, that was the key selection. I'll tell you why. Not just because he has that experience, he plays spin well. Not only him as a player, but also it was Babar choice. We've seen Ramesh Raja have issues with Shoaib Malik in the past. But the fact that Babar said, like, I want this guy in my team, it brings that, like, it shows that the captain has some power, and they're a close unit now. There's not too many politics. There's no Shoaib Akhtar hitting Afridi with the bat in the changing room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're more of a unit. They gel well together. I feel that it's a semi-final and final. Anyone can win or lose. But Pakistan so far have played probably the best cricket. Yes, this group has been easy, but they're up against India, who they've never beaten in a World Cup. Afghanistan, who've always troubled them, and New Zealand, who they have a history with this as well. So I think for them to come out unbeaten, it's a big achievement. This is the first time I think they've come unbeaten to a semi-final. And normally Pakistan is a team that just scrapes into the semis and they win the whole thing. But here they've actually dominated. Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to play in the semis. But I think this is a very good matchup. I'm very interested because I felt Australia have been underperforming for years now. A lot of people have told me they're not a T20 team. They're more of a test team. They're playing the test players in a T20 format. Everything is there. But when you have experience, when you have something like that, I think look how they came in. They came net run rate, right? Everyone's saying it's so unfair on South Africa. But it also shows presence of mind. Finch and Warner, they knew the situation. They knew they had to beat Bangladesh and West Indies big, and they chased it down. They took the attack. So you can't say they're a test team. They do play T20 cricket. They understand the situation. They took a risk and they finished off both games early, right? So someone like a Steve Smith, you need him there in the middle overs, rotate. Sometimes the required is not too much, but you need someone at the crease to find the singles, find the gap, keep rotating the strike. And I feel that Steve Smith is an important player. I actually asked a New Zealand journalist to compare Williamson and Smith. He's saying their approach is very similar because a lot of people are criticizing Smith, but he's saying that it's just that Williamson has this accelerator button in him and he can go for it. Sometimes Smith gets stuck in the single doubles. So that's something that maybe he has to just try to find the boundary more, and that's about it. But they're very similar type of players, and you need these kind of players as well.
But my question was, I don't know if you remember when during the ODI series between India and Australia, Smith hit 200s back to back in like 45 or 50 balls.
45, yeah.
And then in T20, his strike rate was just 100 runs per ball. So I don't know what happened to him in the 50 over. He was playing a T20 knock, and in a T20 knock over T20 overs, he was playing a 50 over knock.
I think the
he
conditions
has it in him. But I don't know what's the issue.
It's the conditions for sure, because even if you look at Smith, Williamson, Kohli, their strike rate is not that high either in these conditions. It's not that high.
125, 130, but Smith has always been like 100, 110s.
Yeah, maybe for him, these conditions, it takes a bit more time to get used to and everything like that. Also, in Australia, it comes on nicely, and he got a really good start here. I want to see him once he gets a good start, right? If Warner and Finch, when they hit, if they're like 80 and 8 overs, then he comes in and they're batting first, then how does he approach it? He probably will approach it in a different way, and maybe you'll see that. And if you don't see that, then it's the conditions, right? Then it's just that, then it's that. Because his approach right now in situations when he's coming in, the requirement is not really there to tonk it. It's not really there if you see it. But against India, he was coming and scoring hundreds after Finch and Warner were scoring hundreds, if you remember. Yeah. He was coming in when they were like 200 for one, and then he used to score 100. So the situation was a bit different. The pitches were different, and but that's a very good point that you made, because he definitely has it in him for sure.
Coming to the bowling attack of Australia versus the Pakistani batting lineup, what do you think about Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood towards Babar, Rizwan, and what plan would they go
it's difficult against these guys, but I think they have to. Hazelwood has to pick a off-stump line. We see Babar Azam and Rizwan, they're so good through their legs. They like whipping it. Bhuvneshwar was straying down the leg side, so was Shami. But here they have to pick an outside off-stump line and try to swing the ball, because it's not a weakness. Babar Azam, I was reading some stat today. I think the ICC feed was showing it that he has this strength. He doesn't really have a weakness against fast bowling. That's true. But any batsman does not like a swing first up. Any batsman in the world, whether that's Gavaskar or Babar Azam or Kohli, nobody likes it. So I think that's something that they'll have to be very accurate with Babar first up. Try to bowl that, find that off-stump line, swing it away from him, and then jag one back in as well to surprise him. And I think that's the way to try to get him under pressure. It's going to be difficult, but the likes of Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins have that potential in them. And I want to see, honestly, I thought Ashton Aga and Zampa will be the two spinners, but now it looks like it's Maxwell and Zampa. But Zampa has been amazing. I think he's probably been the best leg spinner in this tournament, right up there with Adil Rashid and the likes. He's been so good. So so these were him against Asif Ali. That's going to be a very good matchup. But also he's up against Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. Hafiz and Shoaib Malik play spin really well. They have that experience. So he has to be a bit smart in the way he bowls. And maybe to them, bowl one fast bowler from one end and bowl one spinner. Don't both spin at both ends for these two guys. Maybe just mix it up and attack them with pace.
Would you play Mitchell Marsh?
Mitchell Marsh. Who did he play in place of in the last game?
I think Stoinis. Not sure.
I would go Stoinis. Just a personal preference. I think Mitchell Marsh struggles against spin. The likes of Imad Wasim and Shadab will probably trap him. But Mitchell Marsh had a good game last game. He scored a few runs.
It was Warner, Finch, Mitch Marsh, Maxwell, Steve Smith, Marcus Stoinis, Matthew Wade. Instead of Aston Ager.
Huh?
Instead of Aston Ager.
Yeah, so instead of Ashton Ager,
because he has Maxwell and Zampa bowling spin.
Yeah, so they will definitely go with Mitchell Marsh. I don't think that's going to be an option. I personally wanted to see Ashton Ager, but now there's no point, right? Like Mitchell Marsh is doing well. I think in the last game he batted well
against West
he has an issue against spin, but when it comes to pace, he plays it comfortably. And he's someone, maybe he can handle Haris Rauf, Hassan Ali, and Shaheen. So play Mitchell Marsh. Hope that Maxwell against Fakhar Zaman, that's a good matchup. Even against Imad Wasim when he comes in, Maxwell will be a good matchup. And hope that Zampa takes the load. Because Pakistan do play spin well as well. So maybe just try to go with your strengths. Sometimes, you don't have to only play to conditions. You have Maxwell there, you have Zampa. Go with your strength. What's your strength? Your strength is your all-rounders and your fast bowling. Just go with that and see how it goes. And I think Pakistan are favorites going into this game, no doubt. But Australia, you can never count them out. They always have a good team. If they lose, we understand why. If they win, we understand why. But for them, they need a start from those top two, Finch and Warner. One of them has to go fire. If they get out early, then Pakistan will have one step in the finals. But it should be a good game. They played in these conditions before against each other. There have been some fun matches. Hopefully, we see a super over. It's been a long time.
Yeah, 100%. Also, stats have always said that teams which have won all their games in the playoffs usually tend to choke in the semis or the finals. It's been only once, I think, Australia has done it in the World Cup, but that was a 50-over World Cup when they won all their games. And I think India did it once in a Champions Trophy.
In 2013.
Yeah.
Under MS Devoni's leadership. That's a good point. Like, nobody has gone all out.
That'll be tough. But hope this Pakistan team can do it for sure. The way they've been playing. The best thing I liked was, I don't know if you remember seeing it, Babar's talk with the boys in the dressing room. He said that enjoy today because we worked hard and we won against India, but just keep this enjoyment for today, and next day we begin again from fresh. So that was something which showed that he was very focused, where rest of the people and fans are thinking, oh, they won against India, they won the World Cup. But he's very focused to win the World Cup, and he's there to make a statement. So hopefully...
Yeah, it won't mean anything. The only thing is the Mocha had stopped. It won't mean anything. If they lose the semifinals, it's going to, for the players, it's going to be very disappointing. For them, right now, like if the way they're playing cricket, they want to win. Same thing with India, right? When they reached the semifinals, when we lost to New Zealand, everyone was upset. The players, it hurt them. There was issues in the camp. So semifinals, nobody wants to lose. Once you're this far, it doesn't matter who you beat in the group stages.
Exactly.
You want the trophy. Especially you're playing, I think this is Pakistan's best brand of cricket that I've seen since 99 through a tournament. Like they've won in 2009, they've won in 2017 Champions Trophy, but I feel like throughout the tournament they've just been like almost invincible, right? So the last time I saw them, and in 99,
everyone is dependable.
Yeah, it's also that they're coming out of situations. They're not like it's not that like that Australia team where they're smashing everybody. Like against Afghanistan, against New Zealand, they were stuck. but someone stepped up, and they have a new player in every game. So it's that's the thing. When you have like different players standing up, there's no such thing as form in this team right now.
Exactly.
One guy is scoring, one guy is not. One guy is scoring, one guy is not. It doesn't. We don't know on the day, but the fact is they have each other's back, and like they're all one person or the other is clicking. So that's it's working. From that side of things for them. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun semi-finals. Unfortunately for us, India's not there, but as cricket fans, we'll still watch the semis and we will enjoy the tournament. Tomorrow's India versus Namibia. I don't think there's any consequences for that game. Just hope to see India finish off on a high. It's going to be very difficult to be motivated for this kind of game, but Virat Kohli, it's his last game as captain, so I think all the fans should come and support him for that and support the team. You win or lose, we'll have another tournament where we'll do well. It's fine. In 2007, India got knocked out 3 months later. They won the T20 World Cup for the first ever one. So you should always look at the future and see from that side of things. But yeah, Pandra, thank you so much for joining me. It was a long discussion. It was a fun discussion, but I will catch you on the other side. Enjoy the semifinals.
You too. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.